Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for the second week of You Asked For It Budget Crafting. And this is what I was working on last week. I thought I would show you how the parchment, well it's not parchment, the unwaxed paper box turned out. So that looks really nice. Had some great suggestions about building a box that would go over top of it or making it so that it's refillable, and that's a really good idea. I already had this done when they said it, but like with the old plastic canvas that we used to have a long time ago, and you could make a box that would just slip over top of it. So I may do that next time, or I may just cut the bottom out of this one when it's done, refill it with the other one that I have, and tape the bottom back on. So we'll just have to see when the time comes. I think it will take me a while to use these. And then this is a glue holder that you use to hold your glue upside down when you're crafting so that your glue stays at the top. But I did think of something just as I was putting this out here, and I have my stuff out for this week, but it also would work if you have one with a big enough hole in it. It would work great to hold your paint upside down, especially if you've got one that's getting kind of low when you're using it, and that will hold it upside down so it's right there and ready for you. So this series is about coming up with ideas to make things ourselves that we could buy at the craft store, but we can make them cheaper and then they'll be our own. And anything that you might want that you think, oh, I really want to do that, or I want that product, or I want that machine or tool, not really machine probably, but let me know if you think, well, that's kind of expensive, I don't want to spend that much money. Then let me know what you're looking for, and I will do my best to see if we can come up with something that we can replace that with. And it's really fun. I really enjoy doing that. So, and I've had some really good requests, so I've got a list started, and I'll be starting next week with one of those videos. So what this series will be about is whatever you guys ask for, I will do my best to come up with it. And then if I have weeks where I'm still working in the middle of a project or something, then we'll do some kind of recycle craft, things that we can recycle, things we can get our hands on and make some products for ourselves much cheaper than we can get them at the store. And again, they'll be our own. So let's set these aside. I still need to decorate them, and I need to put a clear coat on them, but that'll be for another time. It takes me so long. I'll probably do that off camera. But this week, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you recycled beads. So these beads here are beads that I have just made, and like this bead right here, these are all recycled, and they're all wooden beads. And these beads right here, my husband likes those beaded car seats, and they don't last forever. And so this one right here, I just stamped on it, and the way that I did that was I just had this is just my, whatever you call that, sentiment stamp or whatever it is, and I just took it, I put it on a toothpick, put some ink on it, and I literally just rolled it across the stamp. And I wound up with this, and I love the way that it looks. So I really like that. I think I'm going to make some more of those. So that's just from one of those beaded car seats. And I'll tell you, one of those beaded car seats, when you take it apart, will fill a whole pretty good sized bucket, like a big 1.5 gallon ice cream bucket with those beads. You'll have so many, you won't need any more. And then I have these cute little ones like this, and I didn't do anything with these because I really like the way they look, and I think they'd make a really cute bracelet. But you can paint them, you can do whatever with them also. And those ones came from a coaster. It's just a wooden coaster that's sewn together, and they're really cute and everything. I used to use them just to set something on decorative because they're just sewn together, so there's holes between all of them, so if you have a sweaty glass, it just goes right through to the other side. So as a coaster, it didn't work that well. But as beads, all I did was just take your scissors, just go in and just nip one of the strings, and then you can just start taking them off. And you can wind up, you'd be surprised when you take them apart how many beads you wind up with. you know, for even such a small thing like this, it will wind up being a handful of beads. And how much would you pay for a handful of beads at the store? And then the rest of these here, I have some here that are, these are wood burnt. And this one, I put fingernail polish on. After I wood burned it, I put clear fingernail polish on it. And this one is just plain. So you can kind of see the shine on the one and not on the other. So that's just an option of how you want to do it. I did that with all of them, but I have some here. This is just thread that I wrapped around these. And again, whoops, one of them I put the fingernail polish on, so it has a bit of a glaze to it. And then the other one is just matte because I did not put it on there. I did put water glue on there to hold it all together nicely. I have some that are just painted, and these are just painted a flat color, but you can also do something with them once you paint them. These ones have napkins on them. That's just a napkin, and this one has got the fingernail polish, and this one does not. And then we have stamping on these also. And again, this was with the background stamp. And you can write on them. Now this one does not have the fingernail polish on it. This one does. And this side didn't turn out too bad. One quick swipe, leave it to dry. Then if you want it to be shinier, then put some more on. But I wasn't, you know, being very careful. And if you keep going over it, then what happens is, then it gets smeared. So, because that fingernail polish will smear that permanent ink. And so you can just, if you do a really quick light swipe, then that usually will dry and you can do it again, and you know, you won't have such a smear on there. But otherwise, you don't even have to do that, or use a water base like just your regular Elmer's glue to give it a seal. And so, and then this is just another wood burned one that I just played with the design. And so it just has just a different design on it. And that's my design. Nobody else can have a design exactly like that. I did it on both sides. And even doing it on both sides, it's not exactly the same. So, and these ones, these long ones, came from a placemat. I had picked up this placemat, another, and it's got a broken spot right here. And there was only one of them, so I don't feel bad about taking it apart. And even if there was a whole set of 4 and they weren't broken, I don't feel bad about taking them apart if I'm going to use them for something else. Because if they just wind up in the landfill, well, what good does that do any of us? So, and again, this is just tied together with string. And so all you do is you just go in and just nip some of those strings and pull those beads off. And usually what I do is I left it like this. I left all of these like this so that you could see them, except for the beaded car seat, because that one was taken apart a long time ago. But normally what I do then is when I get something like this, I take them all apart and then I put them all together in a jar or something. But you might want to leave them like this so that you can just fold it up and set it on a shelf and just cut it apart as you need to. So now this one has a lot that are quite dark. And so what I did was, the first thing I did with all of those that I did was, I painted them white. Now you don't have to do that, and you know, you may want them dark. Well, the wood burn ones I did not paint, but the rest of them I did. But I just put them on a toothpick and I painted them white. Now the one thing that you have to remember to do is take them off of the toothpick, you know, move them around a little bit before you let them dry too much, because they could stick on there. Because it's wood, and the paint, fingernail polish, whatever you're putting on there, does like to make them stick. Now I'm peeling off a little bit of the paint there. That's okay. Won't hurt a thing. That one didn't stick at all. So usually I try and kind of move them around a little bit after I paint them, but I must have forgotten to do that. And so some of them are a little bit stuck. And if they get super, super stuck, if you're doing the Build Your Stash series, you may have a Dremel, and you can just use a Dremel. If it breaks off in there and just drills right straight through the hole, what I usually do is if it breaks off on this side, I put the Dremel in the hole on this side and go straight through, and that kind of pushes it out and drills through it at the same time. So, which this one, well, it came off. I was going to say that one, because it was so far down there, I thought it might not come off. So once you get them painted white, if you want to paint them white, and I do that if I'm going to do a light colored napkin especially, because if you have a dark bead and a light colored napkin, it doesn't show up as well. You know, you just kind of lose whatever your pattern is. So now I've got this really pretty napkin. It's got this really pretty hummingbird on it, but I can't put that on my little tiny bead. But these flowers are really pretty. And the thing is, nobody's going to know what they are once you get them on there. So if you want that blue, you can cut out the hummingbird and make your bead blue. Because nobody's going to know. Here we've got a hummingbird that goes off the edge of the napkin. I don't feel wasteful using that one. And so we'll do that one. And then I just use my water glue, which is my form of Mod Podge. What I use in place of Mod Podge, I should say. And the water glue is, and I say this every time because I always get questions as to what was your glue or what were you using. It is 1 part water to 2 parts white glue. And in some places they call it PVA glue. You know, it's Elmer's glue is what it is in the United States. That's pretty much what we call it. School glue, white glue, kids glue, whatever. So I'm just going to take that and just paint it on my bead. I want to get the top and the bottom too. And I have already taken the backing off of my napkin. You have to always remember to do that if you're going to use a napkin on anything, because otherwise the 2 layers will separate and come off. Your top layer, your pretty layer, is going to wind up separating and going away. It'll fall off. So I'm going to trim this. Usually I trim about the right length when I before I put them on there, but I forgot to. So just about half a bead's width. Just trim that. Oh, excuse me, I have a terrible tickle. Okay, and then we're just going to fold that up there. Fold that up there. Push that down. Going to cut it off just a little bit long. Bring this side back. Lift this side up. And I'm going to fold this one over. Use my brush to push it down. And also using my brush to put my water glue on the outside so that we have it outside and underneath so that we have a really good stick. And then I'm just going to kind of fold it in here. Just like that. Then you can just take another toothpick and just kind of push it into that hole a little bit, the extra part. And then take it off of this one and fold the other end down. Poke a hole in there. I'm not going to push that up there really tight, so that hopefully it doesn't stick. And then in a little while I'll go and I'll give it a twist. Now, see how dark that turned out? So now we'll do a white one. That was on a solid color bead. Let's still use the blue of the hummingbird. Just cut a piece of my napkin off here. Okay, and I'm going to put it just about half a bead's width off the edge of the napkin so that there's enough to fold over. And I'm just going to cut it here about the same. And then just cut it over here a little bit. We can always trim that after we wrap it. Alrighty, so let's put that there. Put some glue on our white bead. And then we'll see the difference between if we put it on a white bead or if we put it on a dark colored bead. Put some on the edge there and fold this up. I'm going to fold this one over and just give it a trim a little bit bigger than the bead. And then just lift this side up. Here we go, and fold that one over. Now just get the top and the bottom. They'll be all set. Well, okay, so remember when I was talking last week that if you want to press something down that's got the glue on it and it's kind of sticky, put a little bit of the glue on your finger, which actually I don't think that I glued the outside of this one. Anyway, so we'll just rub that around the whole outside. But give it a little, get your finger damp. I'm going to flip this upside down now. Put it in the hole and do the other end. And this is just something you can do while you're sitting and watching TV if you want to. Maybe not with the water glue, but maybe so. I mean, I do, but some people don't want to have messy things in certain areas of their home, so you could draw on them or cut them apart and get them into containers. So there we go. And there's the color of that one. And so between the two, that's the difference between if you put them on white and if you put them on dark. So the blue is much more blue on the white one. So that is putting them on with, you can putting a napkin on them, and so, and of course, you know, writing on them or drawing on them. You can do that, or wood burning if you have a wood burner. I do like the ones that are covered with this. It's not string or yarn. It is plain old thread, regular sewing thread. And so what I do with those is just, well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take one piece. I'm just going to make it fairly long. This about 2 feet maybe. And then I'm going to fold this sounds silly, but this is how I do it. So I'm going to fold the two ends together, just as if I had a needle on it already, and put a knot in it, like that. Then I'm going to take the part where the needle would have been, and I'm going to put that up to the bottom of my bead on the toothpick. Now, I haven't put glue on here yet, so I'm going to put some glue on here. And you can use your water glue, or you can use regular glue if you want to paint that on there. And then I'm just going to just take it and just start wrapping. There they kind of separated. There they're separated. Now here they're together. And whoops. And you do have to hold your bead so that it doesn't unwrap. And then I just do that until I get to the knot. And then I just trim that knot off. That knot gives me something to hang on to. And if I accidentally let go of the whole thing, it keeps the two pieces together so that it doesn't, you know, make a mess. And so there it is with just the green on it. And then you can do it with another color if you want to. I love green and turquoise together. Bright green and turquoise. So I'm going to take about 2 feet of this one. And again, I'm just going to take both ends, hold them together. The way to tie a knot in string, or in your thread, if you do, whoops, in case you don't know, you just put your two ends together. Have your finger a little bit damp. I like it. And then just kind of do this. and then just grab a hold of it, wrap it around your finger, just come right back up in front of what you just grabbed, and then just roll your thumb and roll those together, and then grab a hold of it and give it a pull. And you've got a really nice knot there. So I'm just going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to put it over the bottom of the toothpick, come right up underneath, and then just start wrapping. And you can do a lot or a little. You can come from the bottom and go over the top. You can do it any which way that you want to until you run out of thread. And then just cut off your knot. And glue that thread down. Ready? And then what I do is I let this kind of dry. Just kind of pat it a little bit with some of the glue. But because it's not being held on there real strongly yet, you can easily wipe it off by painting it. So I let it dry, and then I go in with a little bit of the glue, and then I go around and glue it down. Now here I've got a little piece sticking off right there. And what I do is after it's dry, I just go nip that. Now I can either nip it right in the middle and just fold it with my water glue, because I'm going to put water glue after it dries. So I just may nip it in the middle and just fold it up onto there. You know, just take it and go like this. You don't even have to nip it, or you can just cut it off completely and then just make sure that the two little ends are sealed down. I'm going to leave it right now so I don't unwrap the whole thing, and then just let that dry. And then just make sure, because you've got that glue on there, I just kind of push it up just a little bit before I just have a piece of styrofoam that I stick my toothpicks in. So, so that is our recycled beads. It's a quick and simple one, and it is a way to get a whole ton of beads for a very cheap amount of money. I have no idea what I paid for the coasters, but I'm sure it wasn't more than $1. It could have been even 49 cents. I don't know. And I know I paid 99 cents for the placemat, which that is going to be a whole lot of beads. And then my big beads, these beads, they were free because it was to the point where my husband's thing was breaking. And so I just went ahead and cut it apart because he got a new one. So don't go and like try and buy a new one of these. They're like $20 or $30 now. I don't know how much they are. The last time that we bought one, I think they were $20. But you wouldn't want to spend $30 just to get one of these, to get these beads. You just want to use them. If you know somebody who's got an old one, and say, hey, like if they say, I'm getting a new one, can I have your old one? Or look for them in the thrift stores and see if you can find one for $1 or something. And just remember that just because you're looking for something doesn't mean that you have to, like buy the first one that you see. If it's not a good deal, if it's $5 for these, well, you could probably go to Joann's or Michael's, and especially if you have a coupon, for $5 get a lot of wooden beads. But for 99 cents, if you find this for 99 cents, that's a good deal. You're not going to get beads for 99 cents at Joann's. So just remember, keep your eyes open, and always remember that some things doesn't have to be what it started out to be. It can now be but what you want it to be, and it can turn into a pretty necklace, bracelet, charms, dangles for your journals, and be repurposed and reused instead of thrown away. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and thanks again for all of your comments. If there's anything that you want me to try, leave a message below and I'll put it on my list, and I will just kind of go in the order of how I get them and like how long it's going to take me. Some of them I might have to work on it for a little while, so it may come out a little later, but that's what I'm here for, is to try and help you figure out how to craft on a budget and still enjoy what you're doing. Thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate you, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.